podcast 263. Textual analysis and literature review. Waiting varies from strategic, professional patience to creative, contemplative, or spiritual discipline. ISBN 978-976-9782679. Copyright 2026. By yours truly, Dr. William Anderson Gittins, D.D. In today's episode, we dive into the thought-provoking work of yours truly, Dr. William Anderson Gittins, D.D., a media art specialist, theologian, photojournalist, cultural practitioner, and author from the picturesque island of Barbados. I am excited to explore my upcoming discussion on my book, Waiting Varies from Strategic Professional Patience to Creative, Contemplative, or Spiritual Discipline. ISBN 978-976-9782679. Copyright 2026. In this podcast, we'll explore my central themes, drawing connections to biblical references, psychological insights, and the philosophy of time. Through my lens of a cultural theorist and theologian, I am suggesting that waiting spans several domains: professional, creative, and spiritual. And through my lens, waiting becomes a transformative practice. So grab a seat and let's explore how this seemingly mundane activity can lead to growth, fulfillment, and profound professional insight. Historical and linguistic context of waiting. First, let's look at the word waiting itself. According to the online etymology dictionary, the word originates from Middle English waitin, copyright 1200, borrowed from Anglo-Norman waitier and Old French guettier. It means to watch, guard, or lie in wait. This etymology introduces the idea of waiting as a vigilant, purposeful activity, one that requires attention, awareness, and anticipation. Now that we have established context and content, let us link this concept of active waiting to key biblical themes. For example, in Psalms 27:14, the verse, I quote, "Wait on the Lord," end quote, reflects an attitude of active faith where waiting is not simply about enduring time, but trusting in God's divine timing. Similarly, Isaiah 40:31 emphasizes that, I quote, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength," end quote. For me, this highlights the importance of engaging in waiting with intention, cultivating both faith and patience. Waiting as strategic professional patience. That said, I am exploring various forms of waiting, beginning with the concept of strategic professional patience. I am suggesting that my field as a media art specialist and photojournalist, waiting is not a passive state, but a proactive preparation for a decisive moment. Take, for example, my profession as a photojournalist. At this point, just let me share my personal experience of waiting for the perfect shot, which requires not only patience, but also acute awareness of my surroundings. This kind of waiting, or productive waiting, as I enunciate it, involves researching, observing, and positioning myself for the right moment. It's an active engagement with the present while anticipating future outcomes. In this way, waiting becomes a form of strategic planning, where time spent waiting becomes time refining and improving my approach. Creative and contemplative waiting. Beyond professional patience, I wish to introduce you to creative and contemplative waiting, a form of waiting that promotes personal reflection and spiritual growth. This type of waiting is tied to mindfulness and meditation, where the act of waiting becomes an intentional practice of quieting the mind and attuning myself to life's rhythms. In this environment, I usually discuss how creative waiting opens up space for unexpected insights. It's a practice that cultivates an openness to new ideas, fostering creative breakthroughs. Waiting in this context isn't just about the passage of time, it's about being present, attentive, and ready to receive what life has to offer. Spiritual discipline and waiting. A crucial aspect of my work is the spiritual dimension of waiting. Drawing on my background as a doctor of divinity, let me emphasize that waiting is deeply rooted in biblical narratives. For figures like Abraham, Genesis 12:2, Moses, Exodus 7:7, and Joseph, Genesis 37:2, and Genesis 41:46, waiting was not a passive experience, but an essential part of their spiritual journeys. Take Abraham's waiting, for instance. For 25 years, he waited the fulfillment of God's promise to make him the father of many nations. His waiting, while long and uncertain, was a process of refining his faith. In Romans 4:20-21, Paul praises Abraham for his unwavering belief in God's ability to fulfill his promises despite the prolonged wait. Similarly, Joseph's 13 years of waiting in adversity, as detailed in Genesis, was a time for growth and preparation. His eventful rise to power in Egypt was a result of his unwavering trust in God's providence. In fact, Joseph himself declared in Genesis 50:20, I quote, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good," end quote, reminding us that God's timing is always at play, even in difficult moments. Psychological insights on waiting. In the scheme of things, I also connect the practice of waiting to psychological insights, particularly the concept of delayed gratification. Modern psychology, particularly the famous marshmallow test by Walter Mischel, has shown that individuals who can delay gratification tend to achieve greater long-term success. My notion of, I quote, productive waiting, end quote, aligns with this concept. It encourages individuals to view waiting not as an inconvenience, but as an opportunity for personal development. It's about building patience, fostering resilience, and learning to navigate life's delays with grace. The experience of waiting, a personal reflection. On a personal note, I, Dr. William Anderson Gittins, DD, invite you to reflect on the experience of waiting in my own life. Between May 13th, 2025 and January 25th, 2026, I waited for a replacement part of my car. What started as a logistical inconvenience evolved into an opportunity for strategic planning, professional patience, creative contemplation, and even spiritual reflection. In this context, I've shared how the experience transformed my moving from frustration to understanding. My waiting journey was marked by communication, problem solving, and a growing realization of how waiting can become a space for reflection and spiritual growth. In conclusion, I, Dr. William Anderson Gittins, DD, I quote, waiting varies from strategic, professional patience to creative, contemplative, or spiritual discipline, end quote, offers a profound exploration of waiting as an active, intentional process. It challenges us to reconsider our relationship with time, patience, and anticipation, whether in our professional lives, or creative endeavors, or our spiritual journeys. Waiting can become a transformative practice, one that prepares us for greater things, both personally and collectively. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope that this conversation has given you a new perspective on waiting, encouraging you to embrace it as a powerful tool for growth and transformation. Until next time, take a moment to pause, reflect, and appreciate the waiting periods in your own life. God bless.